I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, and of course, Happy New Year!
Hey,
hello. To the Curb Your Enthusiasm after show. Very excited to be here. Myself, Christian Bladt, joined by Flobo Boyce.
That's me.
James Maple.
Hello.
And Rachel Goodman.
Hey, everybody.
We're at full power now. We have everyone.
Yeah.
We're all the different parts of Voltron, and now we are able to actually defend the universe properly.
I'm a Power Rangers guy my age.
I love it. That's all right. I get it. You're younger than me, but it doesn't matter. It's okay. Here, look, we got to start off. We're going to have to delve right into the important issues covered on this episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, episode 3 in season 10, Artificial Fruit. I don't like scones. I do not enjoy them. I've always felt that they're so dry, and I just don't understand why. Scones, why? Rachel, you seem to have thoughts on scones.
I do because I am not a fan of American scones, but I love English scones.
What do they do? Like soak them in pig fat or something? Because that seems to be their solution for everything over there.
It's like a completely different pastry. So that's number one.
Is it moist?
It's very moist.
Is there something inside?
Mm-hmm. It's very moist.
Because I understand that like at high tea you're supposed to like spread jelly on it. But you've given me homework. Just give it to me with the jelly inside. Jelly donut. Perfect.
There you go. Yeah, well, here's the thing, too, is that, so scones, very dry. So are English scones to an extent, but there's like a buttery quality to them that you don't find in an American scone.
Yeah. The thing about donuts and like other kinds of fried dough, because I am a fried dough aficionado, you can have them straight up, no chaser. Scones really are designed to have with a hot beverage, like coffee or tea.
So dunking.
They may seem dry off the top, but I'm telling you, man, they're a perfect compliment. That brings out the notes of your coffee.
Well, I have an admission.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, please.
I have an admission to admit to you all.
James has a secret.
And I'll be 33 in March 25th.
Wow.
I have never, in almost 33 years, had a scone in my entire life.
Somebody come book a joke.
I've never had, and I've never had one for the reasons we just mentioned. Because they look dry AF.
It's like, hey, look, somebody took a doorstop and put some blueberries in it.
Yeah,
that is not true.
I'm good.
I won't say I'm prejudiced.
I'm good on sawdust today. I'm okay with the scone. No,
the disrespect to scones out there.
I mean, they look dry.
And I love
the one Larry's look dry.
I love that Larry gets this guy to get out of retirement, and he makes what Larry is convinced is the best scone he's ever had, and yet in the episode, no one likes it.
Of course.
Everyone who has it throughout the episode.
I love the setup there.
I did think that was very funny.
I love that when he goes and gets this guy out of retirement, the first thing we hear is like Quentin Tarantino, like Kill Bill music, as if this is revenge, and then all of this, and then it's so anticlimactic because nobody wants these scones.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I think we'll probably deal with this in the future because Larry's gotten this guy out of retirement and he's his scone maker. Sure. But look, if he's making better scones than Mocha Joe, I feel like that's going to help. I don't know how anybody's eating it.
Justice for scones.
Moving on to the next, again, we're hitting all the hot button issues. I am of the firm belief that eggs need to be served with toast. You can opt out of the toast, but the default needs to be toast. Now, your toast can include the English muffin, the bagel. That's fine, but some kind of bread.
How is bagel toast? You have a toasted bagel.
It.
You have a toasted bagel. That's not bagel's not toast.
But it's a bread option.
That's toasted.
It's typically toasted. You know?
Right.
I know. Not
mad
in
about
Brooklyn,
that.
they don't toast your bagels.
They do. I'm just saying.
According to New York Mayor Bill de Blasio, toasted bagels are delicious.
He's not New York. He's not.
He's very delicious. No, he likes ska and he likes toasted bagels. That's all you need to know
Whatever
about
the
that
kids
guy.
are into.
Yeah. So. I don't understand like the bowl of eggs that has like the I don't know, it's not just an omelet, it's like here's the egg bowl. Great, love that you gave me that. Where's the toast? I am Team Larry on this. Flobo, you seem to be the contrarian.
I know.
I think I'm gonna have to sit next to you next week.
No,
I'll be in the corner over there outside the studio.
Banished.
Broadcasting live from the other end of the studio.
Corner.
It's possible.
The idea is this. I like eggs with some sort of carb. Maybe it's like home fries. Maybe it's like, potatoes. But if there's no toast, I'm not putting my hand up and saying, excuse me, I need my English muffin here. That doesn't make any sense
All
to
right,
me.
now you've brought me to a subtopic. Hash browns all day, home fries never. What
Okay.
were you gonna say?
Oh man. Well,
Yeah.
first
It's
of all,
like
those-
ESPN.
Hash browns.
Battle lines have been drawn.
yeah, I love both of those things.
Good for you.
I will take my.
Oh, I'll eat all these things. But, given the option, I'm like, well, no, why are you asking me if I want home fries if you have hash browns? That's just crazy talk.
My thing is, it's like, Larry, do you want him to spit in your food?
True.
Like, be a little kinder to the person serving you the
Yeah,
food,
that's right.
regardless of whether he should have gotten his toast or not.
Yeah.
So I'm all about the treat the people helping you the way
right.
you'd want to be treated.
But Rachel, do you need to serve eggs with toast?
No,
Oh, thank goodness I'm not going crazy here.
no,
All right.
you do
No,
not.
I think we have a divided panel
And
because
again,
I'm,
you know what?
I'm with you on this.
Yes!
Of course you serve eggs with toast. What kind
And
of
again,
blasphemy is
wait,
this?
you can allow
But-
the customer to opt out. Like, you know what, I'm doing a no carb
Right,
thing.
I get
Can I
it.
get fruit on this? That's
Absolutely.
fine. But your default has to be it comes with toast.
Without
and
request.
then you switch it up
Absolutely.
if you need to.
Here's my thing. It's not like he was at a diner where he was ordering scrambled eggs with toast and hash browns. This was
Agreed.
different. This was a different kind of egg dish, and I don't
Right.
think that it needed toast.
And toast was probably listed a la carte for $12.50. I
Probably.
get it. No, I completely get it. It's probably
that's
probably
not
the case.
too far off.
Yeah, but I agree with Larry, and the audacity of him to order toast was not well received.
Speaking of
But
audacity.
here's what I understand even less than that: artificial fruit.
Yeah.
As a decoration, did anybody grow up in a home with artificial fruit? Because I've seen it. I've definitely seen it other places.
Yeah.
But it was never something that we had. And look, artificial fruit never looked like you should eat it.
Right.
But if you have it like it should be, the way that Susie had it and the way that the lawyer had it, I think you got to put like a cover on it or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe like do not eat. I don't know, something on there.
Here's the thing. Okay, we did not have artificial fruit when I was growing up, but we went through plenty of, those like model homes that did have it.
Sure.
And so you pick it up. It does not feel like a piece of fruit, number one. Number two, I have never myself bitten into a piece of artificial fruit, but I call foul on the fact that it would break someone's tooth like that. I think
there's
this
a
is
lot of
agree.
things that call foul in this episode.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember the artificial fruit being like made of styrofoam. Like
Yeah.
you pick it up and
I mean,
it
it
feels
was-
like air.
Well, we had plastic ones.
It was like, it was like kind
definitely
of
not like
waxy.
a- yeah.
The problem is that it's so tacky. It's like covering
I
your
wholly
couches
agree.
in plastic. So like they find people in these how should I say adjusted neighborhoods having artificial fruit. It seems kind of weird to me. Like what, they have flamingos outside too. It's just weird. Yeah.
By the way, little known fact: Rachel talking about going through all the model homes. She grew up as a part of a family of squatters, so they didn't have anywhere to live.
Little known fact.
They would just wander eastern Pennsylvania. They would stop off at Wawa and then go to a model home, and
That's a
then
dope movie.
by the morning they would duck out.
We'd take our Wawa coffee, go
Yeah.
into homes
perfect.
after everyone would leave these model homes and just hang out for the night. No one knew.
No one got hurt.
Yeah.
It wasn't
believe
somebody's
this.
actual home. It was a model home.
That's what you
this.
call rent control.
Right.
I don't know. I look. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And I thought it was very funny how it was used as a device. The artificial fruit. That was fine, but. Look, I bring the real world with me. I can't turn off my brain when I watch this show.
Right.
And there was a lot of outrageous things dealing with food. But worst of all is where do you put the food when you're done with it? Well, if you're not going to eat, you usually throw it in the trash can. This idea of trash cans that you can't actually put trash in,
Yeah.
the lawyer's one kind of made sense. This is an office, that's for paper. And look, I have the rare occasions where I've had an office or even a shared office, if somebody throws their tray, the remains of their lunch in your trash can, you're like, now my office is going to smell like that all day.
Yeah.
I actually had taken the bag and thrown it in the bathroom trash because I'm like, I don't want to smell what they ate for lunch.
Right.
So I get it on that level, but why is it there?
Yeah.
And so I forget Richard Kind's character's name is Andy. I think.
Yeah, it's cousin, yeah.
I think it's cousin Andy. Yeah. So the fact that they have the trash can on display to show off, but then the actual trash is in the pantry. I don't know. Look, there's a lot of crazy things that happen on this show, but this is one of the craziest. What do you think about this, James?
I am on your team 100%. Don't have a receptacle unless you want me to use said receptacle.
I know. It's like, oh, it's not even lined. Well, that's your fault.
That's my thing. Like, why you have it out? Where am I supposed to find this hidden, mysterious trash can that you have hidden away in the pantry, huh?
That's true.
I see a trash can that looks hungry. I'm throwing my crap in there.
Hungry trash can?
You know what I mean?
The worst public access cartoon I've ever seen. No, I get you, man. That's one of the things I'm most nervous about being in someone's house. Besides where the bathroom is where the trash. You're eating. You're that slob now. You're asking where to go, and they give you so many rules. I went home to Brooklyn about a year ago, and my dad didn't tell me, but he was like, oh, the smell of trash was too much for his nostrils. He started putting trash in the freezer until trash day. So you could imagine me coming home. Hold on. You can imagine me coming home, putting trash in the trash, and getting reamed out. He's like, hey, don't be stupid. Put the trash in the freezer. I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense.
Flobo, the trash can is for the ice cubes. Come on.
That's what I'm saying,
Is this like a top freezer, like a bottom?
It was like a separate freezer.
A separate freezer.
But the idea was like, are you kidding me?
That's a first.
Yeah, so I get Larry's frustration, being like, what are the rules in this house?
Yeah, well, especially, I mean, he's a guest, obviously, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
And the fact that, okay, you see this trash can, where else would you put the trash in any other home?
Right.
And if they're worried about it smelling, I can't see the pantry being a better place for it. Though I didn't take it like that was the whole point. I thought that they were trying to be more green somehow.
Well, I thought that's what they were doing, but then it didn't follow logically from there. And maybe
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I
that's
mean,
why.
maybe that's the problem when your show is loosely scripted like this one. They didn't actually carry it out. But yeah, I don't know. That was just crazy.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that we can all agree about is that we wish we lived in a world where we would actually get to see Ted Danson starring as Robert E. Lee
Yes.
in the Lee film. I mean, how great would that be? I mean, I would love to see that at some point, but I thought it was great that they shot some.
They did. They did a pretty good job.
Ted Danson's amazing. He's an amazing actor.
It was believable too. I could see him as Robert E. Lee, number one. Two, I love how he had made a comment. Larry had made a comment earlier when he was looking at the picture of himself with Cheryl, where he was like, "That's like honoring a Confederate war monument."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I loved how we had the callback to that when we see Ted Danson as Robert E. Lee.
And of course Larry attacking.
Yeah.
Lee, yeah. And
Freedom.
Speaking of the photo of Larry and Cheryl, this is an interesting sort of debate. So you have two instances in this episode. Well, three instances, but two objects. One, the framed photo of the Greens, both Susie and Jeff, and then what were at that point the Davids, Larry and Cheryl, and he didn't. He said that that's a very painful photo for him, so don't have it. And Susie, of course, isn't going to budge. I understand this as a concept, but I've never seen this actually in real life. Where someone's like, "Well, we need to take away those photos." I thought it was very interesting, but what did you think about this, James?
I thought it was interesting too. I have been in situations where you have certain people coming over and you're like, oh, let me get rid of this, but it's always based on like if we had like a dog die or something like that. Where you have like someone. I totally understand that, but this instance, I'm like, I would have sided with her. I'm like, nah, it's my house.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to man up. You took the photo.
I agree.
Took the photo.
Yeah.
I
And it brought back good memories to her. So I'm like, how you coming, Larry? How you coming to her house, telling her to take down stuff? Last week he's putting paintings up. Now he's taking pictures down.
Yeah.
What's going on with them?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I almost feel like she put it out to be difficult, though.
Yeah,
probably.
But I do agree. Like otherwise, I don't see the huge issue, considering it was a memory for everybody.
Yeah.
But it's awkward because it's like, what do you do in a situation where everybody knows? Like it's not just everybody knows everybody and is kind of friends with everybody. So what do you do in that circumstance? I don't think it's such a big deal for them to have it up, but I kind of understand Larry at the same time. And if it did really genuinely hurt his feelings, which I almost feel like he was trying to be difficult too.
I felt a little bit of
Yeah.
that. A little bit. So the photograph is one thing, but then the sweater is another thing entirely. So he doesn't want the sweater anymore, so he gives it to Richard Lewis. That's fine.
Right.
I don't think Richard Lewis needs anybody to give him a sweater, but although he does always look a little cold, so maybe. But he then wears it to lunch, which we'll talk about that lunch in a little bit. And then Cousin Andy goes out and finds where this sweater is available and also gets one. So I think that's even less egregious than Richard Lewis is wearing the actual sweater that Cheryl gave him. Andy just liked it and went and got one. I don't know, Flobo.
Yeah.
You seem to. Everything seems to. I don't know. We seem to be on different sides of everything today. So where do you?
Schools are great. No.
What do you think? What do you think about this Sweater Gate 2020?
I gotta be honest with you. If you give me someone's sweater, I'm not gonna wear it when I see you, knowing the circumstances.
Right.
I think their relationship around food is weird as enough. We'll get to that in a minute. But I would be like, you know what? I'm gonna wear this for another occasion with other friends because I just know the reason why I got it was because he's difficult. But if I'm actually wearing it at an event, don't try to rip it off my body, in front of my wife.
Yeah.
And he's also at the restaurant. He's trying to rip it off of Richard. What do you think of all of this, Rachel?
I feel like I don't think Richard. I feel like it wasn't done on purpose, and so it was just kind of like maybe he liked the sweater and he just happened to be wearing it. I do think it's a little odd that he just decided to wear that specific sweater when he met up with Larry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really awkward watching Larry take it over the top the way he always does and go over and try to rip it off. But it's characteristic though, so it's like I don't know what else I would have expected with that situation.
What do you think, James, about the sweater?
Sweater to me, I feel like I would wear it. I mean,
Knowing that it annoyed your friend or brought back bad memories.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have given it to me.
Yeah,
if you didn't want me to wear it.
that's how I feel about it. Like it's my sweater. Like it had its memories. Air in the past. It's got a new owner now. It's got a new vibe.
I'm making new
rocking the
memories
sweater.
with it,
Right.
you
That's
know?
how I feel about it. It's kind of like the picture. Like no, the memories are done. Let them go. Same with the sweater. Memories are done. Let it go. I'm rocking the sweater. It looks fly.
It looks fly.
I mean, it definitely. I mean,
Do
look,
what you
that
did.
sweater definitely looked fly. I mean,
It did.
there's no arguing with that. What were you gonna say, Rachel?
Can I just say, in the first place, if I had been Larry, I wouldn't have gotten rid of the sweater because it's a nice sweater,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter who gave it to you or what the circumstances are. It's still your sweater, and if it's nice, it's nice.
Also, if it bothered him so much, why was he wearing it on the day when he gave it to Richard?
Yeah.
You know? It's just like if it bothers you, either get rid of it, or I don't know, put it away in the back of the closet where you have the clothes that make you cry about your ex-wife.
Yeah.
You know, so when you have one of those emotional days, which
Donate it to don't donate it to someone that you don't know.
don't
Salvation
Yeah.
Army.
Yeah.
Don't give it to another millionaire comedian
Right.
in Beverly Hills. You know,
You know how Larry feels about giving.
Wow. Let's talk a little bit about Larry's generosity. There's big generosity, but let's talk about the smaller generosity first. We were talking about the lunch with Richard Lewis.
Yeah.
And how determined he was to pay for lunch. And I don't think it's because he's doing it out of the generosity, the greatness of his heart. I think that's more about like, this guy makes me look bad. He always pays.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't care.
Yeah.
You know? If there was like, if they didn't know whose credit card it was, Larry'd be like, oh, I don't care. But he's so determined to do it. And the lengths in which he goes to,
Pretty extreme.
going to the wake and to give the. So you're gonna be working tomorrow? Can I just give you my credit card? And of course, he and Rich are gonna fight over it. Sort of the entire giving the credit card, disrupting the wake, and then obviously not having it, not being able to pay ahead, and then Richard gets to pay anyway. So the way all of that played out, what did you think, Rachel?
So first of all, his mispronunciation skills with a Z.
Spot on.
Yeah. That was to me the most hilarious part is that he's trying to tell other people how to pronounce these words and
Yes.
he's just completely off. Even before the chipping of the tooth.
Right.
But then also just the fact that he would go, not even like he's so concerned about, oh no, he always pays, I need to pay, that he completely disrespects a wake and doesn't even care that Francisco is mourning.
Francisco.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Say it right.
The Castilian pronunciation.
Francisco.
And having been to that region of Spain, by the way, it's like it didn't sound like Spanish. I had no idea what anybody was saying.
It was a little strange. I have to say, you guys know, as I told you last week, I work in service industry for years.
Yeah.
That is such a moment of like, as a server, when you have two people who are like, no, I want to pay. I'm like, yo, you keep your family business like at the table. This has nothing to do with me. Bro. And people will go to extreme lengths. This one time I had this guy follow me into the restroom to give me his credit card to ensure that he would pay the bill instead of his father-in-law. Like people go insane to make sure that they have this like, I don't know if it's like an alpha male kind of thing or like I'm the big dog.
Well, ask yourself, alpha male, is it? I don't know.
I mean, I'll take free food from anybody. I don't care. Pay away. If you want to pay, pay. I like free food.
Yeah.
But the lengths that people go to like make sure they pay are pretty extreme.
Absolutely.
James, would they even, like as a server, would they even accept a credit card even an hour early? That was my other, oh really?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, I've worked in places that like, they've gone to lengths where you have like a credit card authorization form and you do it that way. But I've had people come in who like will come in like, let's say they work down the street, they'll come in during their lunch break and drop off their credit card and know they're going to come into dinner later on. So it definitely does happen. And people, like I said, people go to pretty extreme lengths to make sure like I'm alpha at the table.
Yeah, I've obviously never picked up a check, but I've had it picked up for me, and I've had a boss, arrange that whatever, that my dinner would be taken care of. So I've had that happen. So I know that there are places that do that, and yeah, it was made days in advance.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times that's a restaurant when you have somebody's information on hand. But yeah, coming in the day before with the actual card and saying hold it. Not like, oh, can you, I don't know, they don't use those card bins anymore, but can you take down the number? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some way to like, oh yeah, or I don't know, take a picture of it or whatever. I just want to pay. Now, on the day, I've never followed a server into a restroom, despite what you may have heard about me. But I will say that I'm going to the restroom and then, kind of hunt around and be like, he's going to want to pay, but I'm going to go ahead and give it.
Right.
And it's sort of like with Richard Lewis, where my father-in-law always pays for all of us all to go out, and so like once every I don't know, I've been with my wife for 15 years, so once every 5 years I think I pay.
Oh, that's nice.
But I make sure that it's
in the calendar.
Yeah.
Like, pay this time.
Yeah, it's like this is
Payment
my
anniversary.
turn.
I'm gonna come to some opposite point. It's like I like free food more than anybody else, but there's certain friends that I have
You never
that
picked up a check when I'm with you. What?
Yeah. Well, because we always disagree about scones.
That's true.
I'm still on that. It really hurts my heart. No, but there's certain friends I have that they pay 2-3 times in a row. You're like, well, I don't want them to think that I'm like a charity case. Like I do have a job somewhat. Let me just go out the way.
I'm always happy to just split it down the middle. And sometimes, look, it depends. If it's an expensive enough meal and everybody had a ton to drink and say I didn't, that's when I'm like, well, let's actually do the math. But usually it's like, let me just split it. When it's I'll get it this time, you get it next time, that's usually okay. But sometimes it's like, well, we're at a fancy restaurant the time that I'm paying, aka Denny's. But when Flobo pays, we're at Del Taco.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm out like easily $5 to $8.
Yeah,
and
but your stomach is full. Is all that matters.
That's true.
You're paying for the experience.
I feel like though, if you're with friends and you have to like nickel and dime things, maybe
really
it's time
friends.
to get some new friends.
Yeah.
Like,
Also,
come on. I had half of that macaroni and cheese, and you had a like, we ain't
what is it
doing
when
that.
you have a party of like 8 people and then somehow it's like, can you split it amongst these 9 credit cards?
Yeah.
That
does
is
that
a
happen?
sorry,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've had one person pay with 3 credit cards for one tab. I'm like, why? You shouldn't be eating out if you need to like put a third on here and a third on here. Let me tip you in cash. Oh wait, there's another third.
And I
run this card again.
I put a second mortgage on my house. Can I put the tip on the mortgage?
No, we don't take mortgages. Thank you.
See, I'm kind of with Larry on this for a different reason. Take out the alpha male situation, and I would rather be the one who pays than the one who gets paid for, because it's just so I don't know if this is just me, but it is so uncomfortable when I feel like you kind of owe someone money if they're paying for you. So it's like, okay, no, just let me do it. Like,
look, we're not all accomplished authors. We can't all pay. But after the season finale, and we all go out to after show lunch, we know who's paying.
I have the watercress
right here.
Late lunch at 3 o'clock in a few weeks.
I had the club soda and broccoli.
Exactly. Let us know in the chat what you think about all of this. Even if you're not watching live, you can leave a comment on the archive version.
Absolutely.
And we will focus on that. So let's talk about Larry's bigger generosity, his court mandated, well, not exactly court mandated, but sort of part of the negotiation with his ongoing lawsuit with Alice. He makes a very large donation to Cousin Andy's wife, I guess, is involved with the I forget the name.
United?
Survivor United.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah. So she's just stunned at how generous he was because he's someone not known for his generosity.
Like,
Because you're known for other things.
It was almost offensive how stunned she
Oh,
was.
his face. Like, look, Larry reacts badly sometimes when you don't think he should, but that was on like, oh yeah, no, that's a total backhanded compliment. And I expected that to come back, by the way, like that his donation was because of the lawsuit. Like that actually never came up, at least not in this episode. So that surprised me. So the donation, okay, you can get that, and then he's going to do the speech. Sure, I mean he's a very funny guy. I understand the idea of like, we're going to have Larry David speak, but the doodle.
Oh, Lord.
Like he didn't want to do the doodle, and you're making him do the doodle, and then you literally take the doodle and throw it in the trash. Flobo, that's something you would do, isn't it?
No, the artwork I would totally. No, yeah.
I knew.
would
I was
totally
like,
throw it
these
in
are
the trash.
lies.
I totally would.
These are lies.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes as someone who can't draw, everything you do, you put up there and say, please don't hate me so much for it. But there was no effort in there. And the fact you try to defend it as being abstract, it's whatever you want it to be. It's a telltale sign.
It was a 2 with a bunch of lines on it.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't that
literally
abstract.
It was a pattern.
Maybe it
too.
was a snake.
Yeah.
I was getting more of an S.
Yeah.
It was
What
a
were you going to say, Rachel?
Diamondback.
I was more worried about what he was going to say in that
Look at it.
speech.
Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that little
But that doodle.
It's
Here's
like a
the thing.
roller coaster, sort of.
It's like a roller coaster meets a dragon.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Well, I understand that, I understand this was like his interpretation of doodle. He could have put a little more effort into it.
He
It didn't
could have
have to
put
be. In all fairness, when we looked at everybody else's, those were not
They-
doodles.
Yeah.
They
That
were
was art.
incredible.
Yeah.
Christine Lottie saying it was 20, maybe 30 minutes
maybe
for
30
that.
minutes.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was like she was like, "Oh, here's like a a Van Gogh. Go ahead and you can sell it for
She
whatever."
colored it in. Like, that's
Yeah.
not 20,
Yeah,
30
that's
minutes.
not a
There was-
doodle.
There was shading involved in everything with those other.
Yeah, so
doodles.
I think that this is the first thing in this episode that we're all in agreement on, that the everything to do with the doodle was just nonsense. Larry didn't want to do it.
He didn't.
He was trying to talk his way out of it. He's like, just a doodle, anything? Okay. So let's talk about the before the speech, the interaction with Laverne Cox, who Orange is the New Black's Laverne Cox.
Playing yourself.
Yes, there were a lot of those playing the actual people as themselves. Poor Richard Kind doesn't get to play himself; he has to be Cousin Andy. By the way, just as an aside, I loved the mentions that Marty Funkhauser was off in China because, as we know, Bob Einstein, Super Dave. Sorry, that's his brother. Dave Einstein, Super Dave, he actually passed away since the last season. So the mention of Marty Funkhauser not being around, I thought was like, okay, it's like, let's not forget the character. I don't know if that means that we'll go to his funeral this season, but well, let's hope not. Anyway, the interaction with Laverne Cox. So Rachel, how'd you feel about that?
So I'm going to say some of this from my Larry moment.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
but
fine.
the big thing was everything about it was uncomfortable to me. The fact that that Larry's lawyer Roger would even send him to do this, it boggles my
Insane.
mind. It's like, why would you trust Larry? He does not have a good history of being very articulate in this way. So why would you do this? And so,
You didn't think it was articulate when he talked about how he had a Gloria Steinem poster and how hot she was?
yeah.
You didn't think that was good?
Oh, that was.
You didn't think that was appropriate for this setting? I guess we see the world differently.
Yeah, I
So-
guess we do. No, but I do think that the hug moment was on point, though, with Laverne and
not hugging her.
not
Yeah,
well,
the non-hug.
not hugging her, and then later when she reaches in
Right.
and he doesn't hug her. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I thought that was very funny because
Yeah,
the way
switch.
he freaked out so much
Yeah.
when she came to give him
I was telling Rachel before we started to go live. I'm realizing how I need to be far more like attuned to the show and the minute details, because like in the interaction they have when Laverne Cox mentioned she has a cold, I just thought it was just like fleeting comment.
Yeah, yeah.
But and then lo and behold, it was literally like a big crux of the episode. So I'm realizing I have to pay attention to the little details sometimes because they'll pop back up.
And I love how Larry pretty much fumbles the entire exchange he has with her. And then when she's on stage, or like when she goes to leave, she goes, okay, I know how I'm going to handle this.
Yeah.
And it's like a callback. It's like, wow, that was brilliant.
She did a great job with that. I thought she was gonna try to like save and be like, no, it's because she was like, no,
I thought she was gonna, give an intro that was, how she really felt about him in that moment. So that was another moment where I
And the
was
crowd
surprised.
instantly just turned on him, right? Just like
Yeah,
started
they
throwing all
throwing
their
fruit.
He was horrified by Laverne Cox.
Yeah,
it gave the impression that it's like, oh no, I can't hug you.
Yeah.
You
There was
know?
no gasp. It was like from 0 to throwing things as much as possible.
Look, when you're in a room with Larry David, the odds of you throwing something are very high.
I know this now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm realizing that as well.
So obviously we also have Alice in the audience, who's the whole reason he's doing it. She's a little bit uncomfortable that he's there. And I think that, she does not feel like he honored really the nature of the agreement that they had. So then they're meeting with the lawyers. And I found their entire waiting for the elevator exchange and actual elevator exchange to just be the perfect representation of this show. He
can't touch her.
He realizes he can't touch her and she's choking. And he's like, where do I put my hands? I don't know where to do it. He's like, I'm already being sued. I thought I was out of this last week and now I have this. And look, obviously it comes from the same mind. It's very reminiscent of the moment on Seinfeld when you find out that Susan, George's fiance, passes away from the toxic glue on licking their envelopes.
Right.
And it was just sort of like oh yeah, well I guess she's dead now.
Yeah, I guess she's dead, yeah.
I wanted to know what each of you thought about how that played out. Flobo, you first.
It's the fact that it involves scones, man. I don't know. Here's the thing. You have
The
someone...
scones kill.
Yes,
Thank
scones.
you.
They kill people
apparently
with their
do.
dryness.
Shout out to Jeff in the booth who has the image of Susan falling ill from the toxic glue.
That's the one. It was definitely an odd situation. You kind of understand because you're on this journey with Larry. Like, what can I possibly do if side-sitting makes things worse?
Yeah.
Just even touching anyone in passing. But now you murder somebody. So I don't know how that's even better.
Yeah.
Right? Lose.
I believe that's manslaughter.
Yeah, it actually
That's
is
not
manslaughter.
murder. That's
Yeah.
not
Right,
murder.
right.
What did you think, James?
I thought, again, the ante of the episode just went higher and higher and higher. Because it was funny, too, just even the interaction, as Rachel and I were just doing this a moment ago, like why are you all the way up here trying to do the Heimlich? And he's down here. I'm like, no, don't do any of those things. Yeah. And then, the ultimate moment is when the doors open and there's a full, essentially, an audience looking, being like, why is she on the ground right now?
Right.
Yeah.
So, again, I just think it's just the humor in this is just unmatched.
Absolutely.
And Rachel, let me know what you thought, and that'll sort of start our final topic before we move into our other segments. Do you think she's dead?
No, I do not. I think it's going to be one of two things. I think that, one, I almost feel like she's going to try and spin this so that it makes him look even worse. But no, I think she's alive, but I think that she's going to kind of change the story so that, it makes him look like he either forced her into eating the
scone. Yeah, like he attempted to kill her with the scone because he didn't want to settle. Interesting.
Like he poisoned her, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think scones do kill with their dryness.
But do you think that she's dead?
Propaganda going on.
Hashtag fake news.
It's not real.
I agree with Rachel. I don't think that she's dead. I think that would be. I mean, again, I don't know because this show is just throwing me for loops. I would imagine that she's not dead, but I do think she's gonna find some way to kind of spin this. I'm also always shocked too that she even engages with him. Because I remember they had a little interaction before they got on the elevator, before he got the scone.
She even says we
She's
shouldn't be talking.
let's get the lawyers. But she keeps on talking. She's like, you know what, I am kind of hungry. I'm like, girl, you know how this man operates. Don't talk to him for any reason.
If you're hungry and you go for a scone, it's not going to end well.
No, obviously you'll be on the ground.
Look, and by the way, if she's dead, that doesn't mean the lawsuit's going to go away. So I think the lawsuit continues, but I am convinced that Alice is no longer with us. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think even if she's dead, it's going to be other people stepping forward and now trying to get him for this. But also, I feel like, in all fairness to Alice, she did try and say to Larry, hey, we shouldn't talk. But, the second she took the scone and ate it, that's on her. Like,
True.
her choking on a scone, that's...
What a way to go out, though, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, patience.
Flobo,
Yo.
your final thought on whether or not Alice is dead or alive?
She has to be alive. If she dies the way that happens now, like how do you root for Larry? I mean, what do you do? Like, because now
He didn't intend to kill her.
Well,
It's the same point. That's why I brought it up with George Costanza. We all still love George Costanza, even though he wasn't upset when his fiance died.
True.
You know, he was just like, well, you want to get coffee? I think that's how Larry would feel.
I'm just saying you can't start off a spite coffee shop and like kill your test market. I'd be like a weird. Would it even open then? I'd have no idea.
No, that's a great point. All right, so we only have a few moments, but before we get to our curb correction corner, there's a little bit of news. I know you have an item and Rachel has an item.
TV news.
Oh yes, she plays on-screen character Cheryl David, but Cheryl Hines actually directed this episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I guess made the rounds on both the Talk you said and also the Today Show.
Yep.
Let's talk about how it means in season 10 to direct such a what's the word I should say? A formidable franchise. Alliteration points.
Alliteration.
Yeah. So check that out when you have a moment.
And tying into HBO, they did well at the WGA Awards, which, Rachel, you were covering for AfterBuzz TV.
I was actually there on behalf of Popcorn Talk.
Oh,
and so I was there. HBO, there was this big fear about them, what was going to happen after Game of Thrones ended. They pretty much swept a ton of awards.
Yeah, because some of the winners.
Chernobyl won for original long form.
Yep, that's a feel-good one for the whole family. Sure.
Watchmen for new series. Comedy
feel-good
series
one
was
for you.
Barry.
I do love Barry,
and then we
actually.
had Succession for drama series.
Cool. So it's all the fun shows for the kids. Great.
Yeah.
Well, good for HBO. And look, I mean, they continue to operate at a very high level. At some point, you look. There's always going to be a few shows that don't quite take, but it's great to see that they're still able to at least be recognized for all that. Let's talk about our other segment. I will start with you, James, for our curb correction corner.
So my curb correction corner this week has got to be harkening back to what I mentioned earlier today: the use of the trash can. I wholly agree.
I agree with you.
Don't have it on the floor unless you want me to use it. I will have one caveat though. I do second guess myself if there's no liner in the trash can.
Yeah.
So I do side with his attorney a bit, like you said earlier.
I wouldn't have thrown the apple in there.
Yeah, because it's a food item and not. So I feel like the apple juice is gonna get in there and bugs or whatever. So I will give a little caveat that I will second guess myself if there isn't a liner in a trash can where I'm like,
Sure.
But paper.
Yeah.
Can go into anything.
Rachel, you alluded to your curb correction corner.
Yeah, just really quickly. It's the moment when he's talking to Laverne and he legitimately says, P.S. I know somebody who's transitioning. And
By the way, that's enough right there. That's bad. But then it goes worse. It goes so much further.
It was awkward enough there, but then ... So how do you explain organ donors and I'm not even going to go into the details, but just what he was asking. I was like, Larry, no.
Nah, bruh.
No.
Absolutely.
And Flobo.
And that sweater game, man. If it gives you that many bad memories, there's always Goodwill, Salvation Army. There's those bins outside the grocery stores. You don't have to give it to Richard Lewis because it may come back to bite you in the butt.
And also, mine ties into Richard Lewis. You don't need to go to the man's wake, his aunt's wake, to give the credit card. You know what? Just pay next time.
Literally.
That's fine. Anyway, we are out of time. Speaking of which, but we will see you next Tuesday at 2 p.m. No, sorry, next Monday at 2 p.m. I forgot what day it was. Monday at 2 p.m. Pacific, that's 5 Eastern. Until then, you can find me online you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChristianDMZ. And you'll see Rachel and I tomorrow, which is Tuesday, and it will be at 2 o'clock over on the Popcorn Talk Network, doing Retro Anatomy of a Movie. We'll be covering Stripes. But Rachel, other than that, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Rach Goodman or on my author Instagram account at Rachel Radner Author.
James Maple.
And you can find me anywhere at Terrell James Maple. Holla at your boy.
And Flobo, new content every week.
Flobito.com is a website, new content every week. But actually, you always check me out on Twitter at Boyce on Twitter as well.
And you can find us Thursdays at 9 for the Star Trek Picard After Show.
Yeah.
AfterBuzz TV. But until next week, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.